You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
It's okay, Sam. Hey, we're back. We took a week off here at Overgrow the Radio, and it was awesome. I ate turkey. I smoked cannabis. I took a lot of naps.
Turkey-licious.
What up, Holly G?
Doing good. Just glad to be back and feeling very relaxed tonight and excited to talk about some of the things that are to come.
So, how was your turkey day?
It was turkey-licious.
Did you eat turkey?
I did. I ate turkey, ham, lots of delicious sides, and lots of pie.
You know, some people would probably classify you and I both as hippies.
Sure.
And they would think, well, those guys don't eat a bunch of meat. But, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, when that rolls around, everything goes aside, and for a day, I'm just like a pig.
I don't eat beef, but I love bacon.
I think that got applause all the way around.
White meat.
Exactly. So it was a great break. I mean, I enjoyed a little downtime. I'm glad everybody came back and tuned in tonight. There's a lot going on, and really not a lot going on at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. You know, I looked through the news today, and we're still having a lot of positive stuff, it looks like, from 64.
Yes.
I hear more chatter out of, like, Mexico and Central America. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Right. I saw some kind of news story that the Mexican president acknowledged that we legalized, which is awesome.
He had a quote, and it's not exact, but his quote was something along the lines of, you know, with Colorado and Washington legalizing, that it's set a precedent, and it's shown a paradigm shift, if you will, for lack of a better term. So, yeah, I mean, when you have current leaders coming out and making statements like that, it's truly amazing.
Yeah, it's a worldwide news for sure. Countries around the world could legalize because, you know, they see what we're doing and see that it's harmless, and we're setting the bar for everyone else.
Yeah, so, I mean, on 64s, to continue with that, the other news out of Colorado anyway is Hickenlooper's finally said something about 64 besides, you know, his whole goldfish and Cheetos comment. You know, we were lucky enough to have the person who delivered those on the show 2 weeks ago, and got to joke about that a little bit. Yeah.
Right. That was a really funny story. And I think there's a video on YouTube that you can look up and find.
From the news?
Right.
Nice.
Showing him delivering the goodies.
Well, it didn't say who it was. I just saw the back of his head, and I'd seen him enough in court during Elisa's trial that, hey, that's Rob. And it just fit his personality, so 2 and 2, you know.
Right.
The governor has come out and said that he wants to put together a task force to address 64. I assume that'll be the first step in what I've been referring to as our next set of rules that'll come out. Our first guest I sat on a board with down in the Springs, and he doesn't know it, but I had a private secret meeting with our president last night, and we're going to get the ball rolling, and we really want to be on board. I think CSMCC, Colorado Springs Medical Cannabis Council, we absolutely represent Southern Colorado, and without us as a part of this task force, Southern Colorado will be left behind. So, you know, I think anyone listening in Colorado in particular, you know, you have to get involved. Now's the time, as we've been stressing since this passed, where we have to take the proper steps and move forward in the right direction. Holly doesn't want anything to do with it, do you?
No, I think that it's going to happen. Everything's going in a good direction.
So real quick, I'm going to give my shameless hippie non-profit plug here before we get into other news. It is Christmas time. I bought my ticket to go home and see my little one. I'm stoked. I haven't seen her in quite a while.
Hey.
Yeah, totally. But, you know, in lieu of giving a bunch of gifts, like with my daughter, she very much is like me. She's a minimalist. She, you know, I begged her for weeks and weeks, I need your Christmas list. Christmas is coming. I really need it. So finally she sends me a text message, because apparently that's the way Christmas list comes nowadays. And there's like 5 things on it, right? So that's just amazing. But what we do for our family, you know, our extended family, is we make a donation every year. And what I do personally, and I've done for a good decade now, is I look for reputable organizations. And what I mean by reputable is when you look at an organization, you want to look at their numbers. And if, you know, more than 10% is going to administrative costs and things of that nature, maybe it's went up a little. I'll be generous and say 20. Then I steer away from them. A good example of one of my favorites is Heifer International, where you can donate like chickens and goats to villages, and you can do it here domestically. Doesn't have to be overseas. It's amazing. Almost all of the money actually goes to what you're giving it to.
Awesome.
So that being said, we are a cannabis show and a cannabis station. So I just want to remind everyone, stopthedrugwar.org. We get a lot of our news from those guys. They're always on top of stuff. At some point I'm going to get in touch with them, maybe chat with them on the show. But, if you're going to make a donation and your life has been affected by cannabis, in a positive or negative light, and you want to make a difference, consider one of the nonprofits in our world. They're legitimate. They're tax deductible. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, God, cannabis, I can't donate because I can't write that off. Not true. As long as they're a nonprofit, you're good to go.
And you're helping the drug war.
And you're helping the drug
Stopping
war.
the drug war.
Stopping the drug war. So I'll jump way ahead real quick on the drug war. There was, and I don't even need to pull it up because I threw it away and the details are enough. There was another shooting this week in Cincinnati where a kid sold heroin to some undercovers, and granted, they pulled guns on the cops. And I'm not justifying that. But again, this was the 60th death this year so far, and we're drawing to a close. But let's think about that in the U.S. 60 deaths because of the drug war. Now, the kid was selling heroin to an undercover. They chased him down. They jumped out. Who knows if they knew it was cops? Who knows the circumstances? Anyway, they shot one of the suspects and killed him. In my mind, I don't condone heroin, and I don't condone shooting cops or running from cops. At the same time, I have to wonder if heroin were treated like it is over in Amsterdam, where an addict can go to a safe place and obtain it and stay there and do it, I'm pretty sure that car chase would have never happened. Pretty sure those kids wouldn't have been out there selling
Treating
heroin.
the addiction, not the punishing a crime.
Yeah, I mean, I just get frustrated at this point when I see those stories. And my heart goes out. I have a family full of law enforcement. I feel that side of it. I respect that side of it. But at the same time, there's just so much useless killing going both ways. It could all be avoided. All right, shake that off. Let's be positive. I got to talk about my home state. Is that okay?
We'll give you a couple minutes here.
Yeah. Well, I have high hopes. We have 5 states right now that we can travel to with our card, with our meds.
That are
legally
open for all
Well, the
patients.
reciprocal for Colorado, which is kind of sad because we don't honor any other states here. It's not very nice of us to be that
There's
way.
very few that do that.
Yeah, we've got to work on that. But anyway, I grew up in Illinois out in the middle of some cornfields, and it looks like they're having their I love this term, their veto session, but their lame duck session, if you will. And they're really addressing some, not just cannabis, but important things. I mean, gay marriage is in there. Sorry, same-sex marriage. My gay friends will be okay with that, I'm sure.
Sure.
That's admirable because it is absolutely the Bible Belt. I grew up there. I can vouch for that. The concealed carry legislation, a lot of people don't realize this. Most states nowadays have fairly liberal gun laws where if you want to carry a gun, you can go take a class and get a permit. Illinois is not that state. Illinois, for some reason, a few decades ago, took a very hardline stance against handguns. And, forgive me for being ignorant. It may have been the 80s, the Reagan thing. I'm not sure. But, I know as a child, they had these crazy rules, like you had to have your ammo in your trunk and your gun in your glove box or vice versa, or it all had to be locked away in your trunk. And there was no concealed carry permit. And I feel, I'm a big rights person, and I feel like that should be a right for everyone. I mean, our country was founded on the right to bear arms,
I think people should be able to have it. I mean, it's definitely necessary in some, jobs and, just to protect yourself if you're in a dangerous situation. People that have guns are not all intending to use it violently. And a lot of people like to go hunting and try to get food for themselves that way. So can't take that right away. I know that my stepdad would be really angry if we did that.
Well, I can tell you, right. I mean, I can tell you when I was out backpacking that it shocked a lot of people that I am who I am and that I had a concealed carry permit. You know, I'm that hippie, gun-toting hippie, as they say.
Yeah, it's just along the same lines as cannabis and as, same-sex marriage.
Absolutely. So we're going to kind of tie this in. We'll finish up here and tie it into our next story since you just segued in with that. Because there is a story up in Montana that's just breaking my heart too. But House Bill 30 in Illinois is coming back up. So if you're in Illinois, please, please, please urge your reps to support this. You guys need medicinal cannabis. From what I've read and what I've followed, every time it's come up for a vote, it's just shy of passing. I mean, you guys are there. You just have to get over that hump. And what that takes is people like Holly and I. It takes every person in your state to speak out and speak up and get it done.
Stand up for your rights. Protest all you can. Hold a sign.
I'm being mean.
Tell everyone you know.
Our producer's telling me I have 5 minutes. I told him no. So we're going to skip over to Montana from Illinois. Chris Williams, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with this case. Back in 2011, there was a sweep by the DEA in Montana. They came through, guns blazing, if you will. Strong arm robbed all these people and then took a few of them to trial. Everyone plead out, every single one except for Chris Williams. This guy took a stand, said, I didn't do anything wrong. I was completely legal under state law. Well, it looks like he is facing, I believe, up to 80 years in prison over this. Wow. Federal prison. In a federal trial, he still doesn't have the right to go in there with a medical defense. So when he goes in there, he's presented as a drug dealer, and unless you can slip stuff in, there's really no defense against that. He can't say I was compliant with my state law in a federal trial. That's the hang-up with the feds. It's an issue. I am guilty. I haven't been emailing enough, but I know there's a ton of websites out there right now supporting him. If you just Google his name, Chris Williams. Write him letters. I believe he's still locked up if he hasn't started his sentence yet. It's sad. Yeah,
that's a bummer.
Let me digress. He hasn't started his sentence yet, but I don't know if he got out of jail yet. So keep him in your thoughts and do what you can to support him. Make calls, write emails, be a pain in the ass. Montana's been having some issues up there with their medical, and I think the feds took advantage of that and swooped in. They do the same in Cali all the time.
And I think Montana's one of the ones that allows out-of-state cards. Isn't that correct? I feel like they're on the list.
So. Sure? I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
We should
I know
check
Oregon.
on those facts.
The only one that I'm sure of is Oregon, where you can just be anyone and you can drive in and get a card and drive away.
Rhode Island.
We'll research that.
Yeah. We'll get back next show and tell you the list so you'll know.
Yeah, because we don't know anything here. We're just all haphazard.
Well, here, we're legal, so you can come visit, and it won't really matter here soon.
Absolutely. Anybody can be a patient here. Just be 21.
Right.
Yeah. So there is another story that we need to research more and I'm going to apologize right up front because I don't even know this young lady's name, but there's a 7-year-old girl out in Portland, Oregon. My daughter's 9, so for me this hits close to home. I've been through a divorce. I know how the back and forth can be. This little girl's sick. She's got leukemia, just like our first guest tonight. This little girl, like many cancer sufferers, went through the gamut of pharmaceuticals, treatments, whatever. They found cannabis oil, and her mother realized it worked. The sad part of this story is because of this divorce, it sounds like it's not amicable, and the father is coming after her and trying to prevent this little girl's...
He's not open to it.
Yeah, I don't know the guy, don't even know his name, but I'll call him out and say, how the hell do you stand in front of your child getting better? If you find something that makes your child better, how do you sleep at night doing that? I don't care how much... I'll be the first one to say my ex-wife and I have went to bat in the courtroom so many times. But if my daughter were sick and there was something that she needed, I can guarantee you that my ex-wife would not stand in the way of that ever. It breaks my heart.
I know. We just have to break that demonization that people have created around cannabis and make it, more known as a medicine, because that's what it is.
Well, and we're going to follow this story closely. We talked last week, kids and cannabis for me, it's a soft spot. I watch the Stanley brothers work with the Gervais kids. I watch Cashy Hyde. I see the results. So it truly breaks my heart. And we're going to talk about this next week and every week until this little girl is not threatened, because the problem is when you're in a custody battle, in most medical states anyway, you don't have any rights. If they come in, a lot of these states look at cannabis, whether it's medical or not, as an illicit drug. So they will come in and take your child. It's happened right here in Colorado in divorce battles. So it's sad, but it happens. Uh-oh. Holly, do we need to take a break? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know, do we? Yeah. I think, have we covered all our news for the night?
Well, we never cover all our news. There is one more thing before we go out. I have not talked to him personally yet, but as I just mentioned, the Hydes lost Cashy last week, and they're family to us. So I've made it a personal cause, and we'll just go ahead and announce it. I hope my board member doesn't get pissed at me. On 420, we go to D.C. every year for Overgrow the Government. We yell at the feds. We bring out LEAP. We bring out all kinds of great speakers. We cause all kinds of trouble. And this year is going to be Cashy Hyde Day. We're going to dedicate our 420 protest to Cashy Hyde. We're going to do our best to get Mike out there and let him tell Cashy's story. And not only that, but I think what we're going to do on Overgrow the Radio is we're really going to start promoting their charity and their organization.
We should, for sure.
The day after his funeral in Salt Lake City, instead of mourning, instead of grieving the loss of their 4-year-old, they went to one of the local hospitals and donated reggae runners in Cashy's name. I
saw that. And I think that, we should definitely celebrate his life and carry on what he probably, he has inspired so many people. So why can't we just carry on his memory and just keep on inspiring in his name?
On that, I just say he's one of my biggest lights, and he'll always burn on.
Well, let's go to a break here on iCannabisRadio.com. You're listening to Overgrow the Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back with a couple guests here in the studio, and we hope you're enjoying the show on iCannabisRadio.com.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
The law offices of Edson Maton and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
And we're back on Overgrow the Radio. Welcome back, Miss Holly G.
Welcome.
We never mention our producer over there. He's always hard at work, but Sam's a good kid. Hey, Sam, how are you doing?
Hey, Sam.
Good, thanks. How are you?
Well,
He doesn't have a
we're
microphone, but he's here in spirit.
good. Well, if we get him a couple dabs before the show, he's all focused, and we don't hear a word from him.
He's got
until
a
break time.
lovely grin on his face.
Permagrin.
Always.
Well, that might be part Buddhist, too. He is a Buddhist, so there you go.
Right.
All right, so we're joined. We have the pleasure of being joined. I was mentioning before the show our next guest, Bob Crouse, and Cliff Black, his attorney. They recently won, well, I'm pretty sure what was the biggest return of cannabis in the state of Colorado. I've been looking for something bigger, and I haven't found anything to a patient. I could be wrong, but I'm still looking. With that said, we've had Bob on, I believe, 4 or 5 times. You are honored in that aspect. You've doubled any other guest as far as appearances. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm going to just overview for folks who haven't seen the previous shows. Mr. Crouse we met really, I guess, at your protest, Bob. And you're one of those folks that I knew I liked right away. When I look into someone's eyes, and I credit my years in sales to this, I can tell if you're a good person. And I got that vibe from you. You're all right. and I grew to love your passion. I saw you take a stand. A lot of people, in the beginning, you took on a public defender. A lot of people would have been timid with that and would have jumped at the first plea deal. You're not that person. And I admire that, and kudos. In your case, you were charged, and correct me, I'm going to give a brief overview, and correct me if I miss anything. You were growing cannabis to treat your leukemia. You suffer from leukemia.
Correct.
You had an elevated plant count from a doctor.
Correct.
That was certified through the state of
Correct.
Colorado, I should clarify. And, you were actually, I believe, 20 plants under your limit?
Right.
You had 55 plants, and you were raided. They did basically a knock and search type raid on your residence?
Something like that.
And you were charged with possession, cultivation and possession with intent. It was probably a nightmare, and we won't recant that too much. We've been there. Long story short, you took that public defense, you went to trial, and you stood up. And what we saw, yours was one of 3 trials. Our next guest in the next hour is one of the other 3 trials back in June that really kicked Dan May's ass, for lack of a better term. The jury came back, do you remember how long they deliberated on your trial?
Well, I heard it was 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, not extremely long in a trial
It would have been quicker, but they had to wait till 4:20 before they came in with the verdict. So I think they were done and had the verdict about 2, but they decided to have a long lunch so that they could come in and announce the acquittal at 4:20.
That was awesome. that was an amazing day. You and Elisa both became family, and to be able to be there through the trials and be there with you guys when the verdicts came down was one of the proudest things that I've gotten to witness in my life. But, like I was saying, the jury came back in a fairly short amount of time and found you not guilty. I think what we saw in your trial, I know what we saw in your trial was very confused DAs that didn't know what they were talking about. We saw frivolous charges, which was proven time and time again by a very young, very talented public defender, Clinton
Albert.
Clinton, there you go.
Albert was the public defender's name, and Elizabeth Regalado.
Yeah, and they did an excellent job, both of them. I was lucky enough, a lot of times they're so busy you don't get to chat with them really, and I caught them a few times in passing, and both really good young defenders. I hope they stay on that path. So really, this is where Cliff comes in, because Bob won his case, and under Amendment 20 in our Constitution, once you win a cannabis or a medical cannabis case, and forgive me for not having the proper wording right here in front of me. Our wireless is down tonight. But it says something to the effect that the product or equipment or whatever is confiscated. Any evidence is basically to be returned immediately.
Right. Law enforcement is required not to harm, injure, nor neglect any property associated with medical marijuana. So that would include the marijuana plants. That would include the product. That would include lights, hoods. Basically, any property is supposed to be protected.
Yeah, I'm going to let you guys jump in right there and just, I mean, what happened? Because I came in and I actually have been helping you along the way with my pictures, but, you know, I don't really know all the details. Like, did you go to the police station and say, hey, I want my medicine? And what transpired after the verdict?
Yeah, I think it was within 30 days after the trial was over. I went down to the police command center to request the return of my evidence, and I was told that it'd be a cold day in hell before that happened. You know, basically, that it was the thing that disappointed me so much about this whole thing is I'm still not looked at as a patient. They don't know how to tell what a patient looks like. You know, we're profiled, and so, you know, that's wrong, but that's what goes on. We don't give our police force the tools they need to be able to discern what's the difference between a criminal and a patient. And so it's I got sidetracked there. What am I answering the question now?
Well, what you said, you went there and they told you it was a cold day in hell.
No, you know, call back later. We don't even know where it is, and you know, and you'll never get that back anyway. Kind of an attitude, and so that's when I saw Cliff at a function and visit with him a little bit, and he said he was willing to help me go the road. Now, 5 months later, after when I should have had back, we just got the evidence returned. So that was good that we got it back. It was my property. I'm not a criminal. It should have been given back. 4 or 5 months ago. We shouldn't have had to spend taxpayer money, court's time, emergency stays of execution, interruption of civil trials that are going on in our district courts. We could do a lot better, but as long as we've given latitude to our officials to do what they think is best for the community, which we do, and we've done in El Paso County, but we've got an official down there that no longer is doing it in what is in the best interest of the community. But there's no checks and balances. You know, there's no way except through the electorate to reel this guy in. I mean, he's in violation of the Constitution. The policies that he's enforcing in El Paso County are creating liabilities to taxpayers both in the city of Colorado Springs as well as in the El Paso County. That same attitude is creating the same kinds of liabilities to taxpayers all over the state, Absolutely. Particularly in these biased, racist areas of our state that
El Paso County racist? Really?
What politician are you speaking of?
Dan May.
Oh, Dan May. Okay,
I'm not really picking anybody in particular out. I'm saying it's a plague we have in our country.
Sure, definitely.
I'm saying you don't have to go back further than our last national election to redraw the lines of demarcation from the Civil War, which was a war over racism. So yes, racism is very much a part of our society, unfortunately, and it's sad. And I think a part of that is in this whole cannabis program. There's a lot of issues that's going on. Anyway, it's getting my medicine back. It was destroyed. So now what?
Right. I mean, well, I'm going to digress a little. When he came to you, Cliff, as an attorney, what's your first step in that? I mean, it had to have seemed kind of ludicrous to you.
Well, the issue, first of all, with the public defender's office is they are limited in what they can do. The public defender's office represents people in criminal proceedings. Once
Sure.
Bob was acquitted, it was no longer a criminal matter. The return of the property then became a civil matter attached to a criminal case, if you will. So I talked to Bob. I realized that he needed help, and I realized he was being jerked around by the system. So we have a man in his 60s who is fighting leukemia, and his medicine is being kept away from him. So we filed a motion for the return of the evidence, and of course, we sent a copy of that to the DA, and the DA then filed a motion objecting to the return of the evidence. So we did a contested hearing. I don't remember the exact date, but we had an excellent judge by the name of Tim Schutz. Very intellectual, very intelligent, able to see both sides. One of the problems is it's almost the good old boys club where judges don't want to go what was once against public policy. They may still believe it's against public policy, but they'll want to rule against a patient and then justify it with the law. Well, Judge Schutz took a look at the law and applied the law properly to the situation, and we won that oral hearing. The DA's office argued that it would be akin to them distributing marijuana, the police distributing marijuana, if they had returned it. And of course, we argued under the constitutional amendment that they are required to return it after an acquittal.
Well, let's delve into that for a second, if you
Okay.
will, because I again was. Sometimes it's all right being disabled and being in pain because I get to go hang out in court and watch really cool stuff. But I was at the motions hearing, and I love the judge, by the way. He got my vote this last election, and will continue to for as long as he wants it. And what we saw was common sense. I mean, he called out the DA's office, I think overall on absurdity for this.
Absolutely.
And pointed out the fact that it's okay in their mind to confiscate it and hold it, but somehow, that is illegal under federal law. And, never mind, we'll get in a minute to their immunity. Mm-hmm. But, then somehow in their mind it shifts from that to, okay, now we can't give it back to you. We've broken these other couple federal laws. I mean, is there where does that, and this is strictly opinion, where does that mindset come from? I mean...
Well, I think the mindset comes from to make any argument to basically meet your ends, so they want to prevent him from getting his marijuana back, so you've got to come up with some type of argument. Yes, we have federal statutes that say it's illegal to possess marijuana, and yet the police are allowed to possess it. You touched on it. There's an immunity clause that police are immune from possession of marijuana, even distribution if they're doing a sell, controlled buy or something like that. So they are immune if they are performing their lawful duties. Well, if the constitutional amendment says that you have to return the medical marijuana to a patient upon an acquittal, then they're still performing their lawful duties and they still have that immunity. But that's the part that they didn't get, or that's the part that they were arguing that they didn't have immunity in anymore.
Yeah, it's absurd. I think what we're going to do in a minute is pay some bills. But when we come back, we're going to continue on because there's a lot more that went on in this process. It wasn't over. There many appeals and different crazy things that we're going to get to. So we'll spend the rest of our time wisely. But for now, Mr. Producer Man's going to pay some bills for us. So we'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals' all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
And we're back on Overgrow the Radio. We made this whole agenda before the show about like bringing us back in and taking us out.
Candy distracted me.
But then we made the comment about how well we medicate, so we may end up getting distracted and flip-flopping anyways, so I jump in.
Well, it's all about staying relaxed. Everything happens for a reason, so, it just, whatever feels right.
It's like a universal thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wavelength.
I know all about that. Yeah, it's a hippie thing. You wouldn't understand. So we're back with Mr. Bob Crouse and Cliff Black. Thank you guys again for coming up from the Springs. It's not a fun drive. I'll be actually racing you home after the show tonight. So thanks. And we were where we left off. We were kind of talking about the process. Well, we were talking about the process after Bob went and asked for his medication. You had the first hearing where. Well, I'm going to let you jump back in and tell us because we kind of cut you off there.
Tell us more.
Well, at the first hearing, the judge ultimately ruled in our favor and ordered that the marijuana plants, although they were dead at that point, and the product to be returned to Mr. Crouse within 10 days. We proceeded to the police department, and we were denied the return of the property. And basically, they informed us that they were going to file an appeal. And they absolutely had that right, and they did file an appeal. They made the legal error of thinking that the appeal granted an automatic stay, granted them the right to hold on to the marijuana, and it didn't. But even though we were in the right, we can't get past the police department with all their guns and security. We're a little out-armed there.
We tried a few weeks in a row.
Yeah, my pen only goes so far. So we then requested an emergency hearing with the same judge, and so we did an emergency hearing, and that's where they argued that they had a stay. We argued they didn't have a stay, and then, of course, they requested a stay, and the judge then denied that. And that was the 10th day when the marijuana, when the medical cannabis was supposed to be returned. They then filed an emergency motion with the Court of Appeals, an emergency motion for a stay against returning the marijuana, and that was granted. And it was only granted until the 15th of October, which was, I think it was approximately a week. That following, I think Monday was a holiday, so the following Tuesday or Wednesday, we filed an objection to the emergency stay, and we had a 3-judge court panel rule in our favor and order the marijuana to be returned.
So all 3 voted yes?
All 3 voted yes. Yeah,
Awesome.
all 3 signed off on it.
Nice.
The DA's office, and let me know if I'm getting too much into the legalities, but The DA's office argued that the point would be moot, that if the medical cannabis was returned to Mr. Crouse, then the appeal would be moot. And we argued that it would not be moot, that this is going to be a reoccurring situation, patients' medical marijuana being taken from them, destroyed. And so we argue that even if it is returned, that they can still hear the appeal. And they agreed with that and ordered the marijuana returned.
Well, and I mean,
along that process too, going through the legal points that the judge looked at, and once we found out that they were, pretty much out there in left field, but he asked him, what's the real reason you don't want to give Mr. Crouse his property back? And they told him this, that the real reason we don't want him to get his property back is we think we're liable here. And if we doesn't get his property back, it'll be a lot easier for us to defend ourselves from the liability we've created for ourselves. The judge says, you got to be kidding me.
I was impressed in that hearing with his ruling and his sternness towards the DA's office. And that kind of leads me to the next question that I have is, they basically, the judge told them you have, what was it, on the Friday or the day before? So basically they had a day or two after that last hearing when we went. And he was stern about, I will enforce this order. I guess my question to you, and again, you may have no idea. I don't know that this has ever come up. How exactly do they enforce that order against all of the guns and badges? Because again, this is just a judge with a pen and paper, essentially. Right.
Well, failure to follow a judge's order is contempt of court, and there can be sanctions for that. They, of course, went to the Court of Appeals and got the emergency stay, so the emergency stay from the Court of Appeals superseded the district judge's authority.
That makes a little more sense. See, that's why you're here, because I'm not the attorney. So, I mean, you got, we are getting close, unfortunately, to taking another break. You got your meds back, and we're going to talk about that towards the end. I guess I want to get each of your opinions separately. In my mind, this was monumental, and I think I've patted you both many times on the back about that. Because it does. It sets a precedent for any patient who has to go to trial and is acquitted of the charges. There it is in writing. You must return the meds. What's your opinion? I mean, what from a legal standpoint, what does it do for attorneys even?
Well, it's not quite legal precedent yet, because precedent is created through the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court. So until the Court of Appeals decides whether in the future medical cannabis has to be returned or not to the patient, that's when precedent will be created.
Okay, so we still got a little ways to wait.
We do, yeah.
Bob, what do you see? I mean, through all your activism, well, first, let me digress and ask a bit of a personal question. When you were just a patient, I know there was a time in my life where I wasn't the guy behind the mic and I wasn't the guy going to D.C. I was very in the closet, if you will, with my activism. I sent money. I did what I could. I emailed. I did my thing. I was corporate America. I couldn't really come out with a big cannabis leaf on my shirt. And what was your arrest? Was that something? Did that pull you into activism, or did you already have that fire before? I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
I don't know that I've ever been asked that before. When I was arrested, I was put in a life or death situation, because to be convicted in this Colorado at the time, to be convicted of anything, you're going to lose your medicine. That's just standard way of doing. So for me, it was a fight for my life. Every day I fight for my life, but also every day I have to fight for my right to fight for my life. It's insane, but that's just what's going on. So for me, I had to fight. There wasn't any choices. I had to, and I wasn't sure that I could get a fair trial.
Sure.
I wasn't sure how much I saw what was going on. I knew people other patients, and you hear the horror stories, and I have other personal horror stories that have happened as a result of this. So it's not like it's and it wasn't right what was going on, and the prejudice against this plant and what it's doing in the lives of children and adults, and for me personally, where now I've achieved a what's called a partial response by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in the treatment I'm using with cannabis. I've destroyed over 85% of the leukemia cells in my body through apoptosis, a suicide signal that's sent to the cancer cells in my body. I mean, it's going on in my body. So when I was arrested, everything that I had set up to help me survive cancer, medicine, therapy, laboratory, all of it was destroyed the day they came in and illegally took what it is that they took, that ultimately I proved that they didn't want to give it back to me because they destroyed it and knew that they're liable now. They know the law, they just have trouble following it.
Well, and Cliff, this one's for you on a side note right there. With the elevated plant count, as an attorney, is that... And I'm going to specifically target El Paso County.
Okay.
Do you think they are prejudiced towards that? I mean, we are a conservative county. Do you think anything over 6 is really just a crazy risk?
I think when you say they, I think we're talking about law enforcement as a whole, whether it's CSPD, Colorado Springs Police Department,
Absolutely.
the District Attorney's Office. I think that they are prejudiced against any marijuana, whether it's under 6 plants or over 6 plants. Now, we know that if you have your red card and you're at 6 plants or under, you have an exception to the criminal law and you won't be charged, or, once in a while we'll get a road cop that charges anyways, but very easy to get dismissed. When somebody goes above that 6 plants, they're giving up that criminal exception and they're relying on an affirmative defense, which is a much tougher defense. And so I think law enforcement looks at this as, well, we're not going to be able to get a conviction on these people under 6 plants. We know a jury won't go that, but maybe we can get convictions on people that are over the plant count, over the 6 plants, even though a doctor is suggesting it.
Statistically, do you, as an attorney again, do you see more cases against people with a higher plant count than the lower?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I have always thought that. I think my theory, and I'd get your opinion, is they're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. And when it comes to that, and they're hoping something's going to stick. I think what we saw in Bob's trial is the public perception of cannabis is changing, even in El Paso County, and
Rapidly.
things aren't sticking like they used to.
A criminal charge against somebody, especially at the felony level, that brings in a lot of moving parts. You've got a lot of stress going on. You've got a lot of financial issues. If you don't qualify for the public defender, can you afford a full-blown criminal defense? The attitude out there on the street is that, nobody's going to convict anybody of marijuana. But when it comes down to an actual trial, you're paying attorneys, you're paying expert witnesses. The doctor has to come in and testify. Doctors typically want, $250, $500 an hour.
Sure.
And that's not just court time, that's prep time. That's looking at the reports, that's looking at the medical stuff. You go to trial and you get convicted, sentencing is now up to the judge. So there's a lot of pressure on people to accept a plea agreement. I accept the plea agreement, they're guaranteeing me no jail, or they're going to give me a deferred and it'll be over with. Or do I go to trial and do I accept this financial burden? Do I accept this risk of going to prison? And so I think that that's what a lot of it is. They know that by charging somebody, they are really having a massive effect on that person's life, whether or not they get the conviction.
Oh, for sure.
How sad that we put a level of fear on top of the people who every night go to bed and are fearful that they're going to wake up tomorrow with the same pain and the same suffering, or wake up in the morning and are fearful that that's going to be the day they're going to die. And as a population, as a citizenship, as a community, why we think that we have the right to put this level of fear? I don't care whether it's local or national. People want to know what the federal government's position is. I challenge the federal government to defy what I'm going to say right now is the federal government's position on all of our laws. And that is, our laws are on the side of life, period. And if I don't have the right and you don't have the right, that's never a right then that we ever handed down to the government. and why the government down below us thinks that they can create rights that we never had to begin with. They can do it if we don't do our duty and hold them accountable to what it is that they can do. If I don't have the right and you don't have the right, then the government doesn't have the right. And that's what our laws are all about. So come on, John Walsh. I'm here. I got 55 plants and 6.5 pounds. You think you know more than my doctors and the scientists I'm working with to take care of the cancer in my body? You send your thugs down here and arrest me. Or if you're not, then you tell the patients in Colorado and the whole country that our government is not somebody they should be fearful of. Let's get rid of the fear, for heaven's sakes. And let's start in El Paso County, supposedly the bastion of Christian love, certainly the bastion of Christian hypocrisy. My Lord didn't come for the wealthy. He came for the sick and the poor. We need to start adopting some of these virtues again, and it has to start with the people, because if we don't take control of our government, they will take our rights away from us. They have no rights we don't give them, and if we don't stand up, they're going to take our freedoms away, and the government ends up being its own entity. Not so, not in America. Our heritage is not such as that. We have a responsibility. We have a duty. Responsibility and duty to vote. Responsibility and duty to hold our officials accountable, especially when they're in violation of constitutional law with policies that are putting these patients underneath this kind of pressure to get them to plead to something they didn't do. And of the only 6 cases that went through trial in El Paso County at a cost of $300,000 to the taxpayers, Dan May's owing 6. He isn't even on the scoreboard. How much more money are we going to pay to educate this fool? Pull the scales off of his eyes. I know we got deep pockets in El Paso County, and I'm here to tell you, taxpayers, you better start reaching deep. He cost us $100,000 in our city because he can't tell our police department how to tell the difference between a criminal and a patient, how to tell the difference between marijuana and medical cannabis. For heaven's sakes, if he doesn't know how, maybe he should come ask a patient. I've tried to educate him. The greatest scientists in the world have tried to educate him. He's refused to meet with any of us. He thinks he's above the truth and above the law, but he's not. That position of district attorney in El Paso County is one we've had problems with forever. Abuse of power. The last guy that was in there was abusing his power, thought he was above the law. And now this man thinks he can violate the Constitution. Judges have told him he's not accountable to judges. He's the executive branch. The legislatures have said, we want to have cannabis for our patients. The judges have said, we want to have cannabis for our patients. But the executive branch, causing all the liability to El Paso County and the taxpayers of Colorado Springs, we can't pay our bills. We can't fix our bridges. Why? They got $500,000 worth of city equipment parked on my front lawn. For what? A year and a half later, $75,000 of taxpayers' money to prosecute me? Another $75,000 of taxpayers' money to defend me? Good heavens. And now another $25,000, $50,000 to appeal the decision that's already been made to give me my property back? Who does this fool think he is? I'm not afraid of you guys. You come get me, you take the fear off the patients. I'm sorry, I get a little worked.
Don't be sorry. What the world needs is everyone to be a Bob Crouse, and then we win this fight, and then people like Dan May go away. It's about time. Sam's gonna pull up a present. No, Sam, other one. Audition. Sam's gonna pull up a present, Bob. That I used to do a segment called Stickman versus the Government. We called Dan May a few times during your trial. And I think they got to know my phone number. And today I called and finally got her to answer. She was pretty short, but maybe it'll be some reassurance.
Yeah, I think it's good to, hear that you're so passionate about, the cause, and we need people out there like you to set the bar, and it's horrible what you went through, and hopefully this will set standard for this to not happen again.
So this is my phone call today to the PIO.
His office.
Hey, is Lee Richardson this afternoon?
One moment. This is Lee.
Hey, Lee. This is Jason at Cannabis Radio. How are you?
Good. What can I do for you?
Well, I had a couple questions for you real quick. We're having Cliff Black and Mr. Crouse on this evening, and I wanted to know if the DA had any response to the return of Bob Krause's medicine.
He's not in today.
Have you guys issued a public response?
No.
Do you know if you have any plans to follow through with any more appeals?
Not that I know of. I don't know. But Dan's not here. Can I get your number?
Yeah. We're going to air this tonight, so I wanted to get
1 second.
some.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just sit down. 1 second. Let me get this guy's number real quick. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. What was your name?
It's Jason.
Well, if we get a statement out, I'll give you a call.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye. Well, as always, I'll be holding my breath until I turn blue and waiting for Miss Lee to call. She's been cordial. I will give her that. As much as I've called and pestered her, at least there's still some cordial in that voice. Bob, what I want to do, and we've talked off the air about this, my co-host Holly and I want those other sides on my show. We had Tom Gorman. I want Dan May. I want anyone who is on that other side. I want them to come in here. I want them to sit and look in my eyes and tell me why they're doing this. Why, when we just passed a law, soon to be a law. The governor has another 7 or 8 days to sign it. That says anyone can use cannabis, and we still have these rogue DAs, like you were just saying, that
that's
are
the way our system
doing
is
that.
set up. No, it's our system is set up. We put a person in a position of authority, in an executor position, like a district attorney's position. Okay, now we elect the best person that we have running through the popular vote. In El Paso County, only one candidate ran. The reality is that 1 out of 3 people in El Paso County chose not having a district attorney rather than voting for this district attorney. It's kind of sad, but with no choice, this man was elected. And the power's gone to his head. He thinks that he is on the fast track for wherever it is that his ego wants to go. But, pride always comes before the fall, Dr. May. You know that. When you're out there trying to tell my doctors and scientists more about the medicine that they're telling me I should be practicing than they do, it sure seems to me like I should ask you where your doctor's degree came from. And did you take the cannabis course, the optional courses when you went to medical school, or did you even know that it was being offered? How is it that you know more about medicine than my doctors do? Good heaven's sakes. But when you have an executor, we put them in a position of power. We believe that they've been trained. We give them and are responsible. Part of our duty is to give to them the tools that they need to execute their position. In this case, then, we allow them the latitude within that to do what they think is best for the community. You have to. If you don't give a person in authority the ability to, when they're responsible, if they don't have authority, they can't be responsible. So we have to give a person like a district attorney some latitude. And within that latitude, you ask, you'd like to have Mr. May on here. This guy's an open book, really, black and white. Plus or minus. There's no depth to this guy at all. Mm-hmm. Why he's doing this is because he doesn't know any better. He just has not been willing to get the facts. The scientists have come before him, willing to share with him. He refuses to get the information. He thinks that what's best for our community is to be in violation of the Constitution. Well, what's the cost of this in dollars and cents? $300,000 in the 6 trials that happened in district court in El Paso County? He's 0-6. $100,000 for the misinstruction to the Colorado Springs Police Department for how to handle and take care of cannabis. That's $400,000 now. The appeal on the decision that's already been made by now 3 district judges to return my medicine, and he wants, as another $50,000. How much we need to give these officials the tools they need. Education, Mr. May, we're willing to give you. But we're going to hold you accountable. And at some point in time, when 3 votes of the state in the county have said give cannabis patients their medicine, 6 times in district court in El Paso County, the adjudication was give the patients their medicine. A cost now of $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 just on a handful of cases? Is this good for our community?
Absurd.
Is this
absurd.
to violate the law?
And I think that's really a good thing to end on, is just accountability and education. I think that's something that all our politicians need to, they need to be held accountable, and they need to be educated.
We're serving notice. We the people.
I think that we're going to actually go to a break here. We really appreciate you guys for being in studio. We have Bob Crouse and Cliff Black here in the studio,
And I just want to add that, again, kudos to both of you guys. If you need an attorney in the Springs area, see my friend Cliff. What is it? Is it Black and Graham, right?
It's Black and Graham.
I think when I Googled you the other day, I put in Graham and Black. Sorry, should have had your name first.
What's your website?
blackandgraham.com.
Black and Graham. Is it Graham?
Graham, correct.
Okay,
And
great.
we'll have you back both one more time after we take photos and win this thing final.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening to iCannabisRadio.com. We're Overgrow the Radio. Stay tuned. We're going to go to a break here, so kick back, relax, and we'll talk to you soon on Overgrow the Radio.
Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infuse sparkling beverages, Dixie Edibles, dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals, all-natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com. Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the nation's premier infused product manufacturer, brings you the newest in hemp CBD wellness products, Dixie X. Derived from CBD for medicinal hemp, this non-psychoactive cannabinoid provides the medicinal effects of cannabis, but without the high. Join the Dixie X revolution today at www.dixiex.com, or like us on Facebook, Dixie X or Dixie Elixirs.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back on.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Dixie Elixirs Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380. We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last.
And we're back on Overgrow the Radio.
Hello.
What up, what up? What a great break.
420.
How you feeling? You feeling fine?
Feels like 420 every time.
It's got to be 420 somewhere. Well, sort of, in a roundabout way. We can make it 420 somewhere. How's that?
Yes, that sounds awesome.
So I want to apologize to our audience again. Our wireless went down 2 hours before our show. Our router died, so we will be purchasing a new router, and we will be chatting with you a little more frequently next week.
I'm actually in the chat room right now.
Holly is. Her phone's working. I've got this crazy phone
Mom.
that doesn't like to work.
Right.
So I just blame everything on the feds. We'll say the feds are... Let's do Dan May tonight.
We're infiltrated.
Dan May infiltrated our router. He broke our router, and he won't let me type messages back on my phone. I apologize.
No.
Just wanted to say thanks for the love. It looks like there's a lot of chatting going on tonight. We
There
love all our
is.
listeners. You guys are all great. Without you, we just suck. So we're going to move on here in a minute. We're going to call Jesse Vriese, and I'm going to ask him if I'm pronouncing that right. Jesse was the third, if you will, sort of forgotten about case back in June in El Paso County. He, which I'll talk about more in a minute. First, before we get to do that, though, I have to talk about our wonderful sponsors because we're like halfway done.
We love you.
We haven't.
Yes, they support us here at Overgrow the Radio.
They do. The Realm of Caring's out there. We touched on the Stanley Brothers a little bit with Bob. What they do is they help sick people. They help me. They get me oil for free. I'm disabled. I'm on a very limited income, and that helps tremendously. You know, it's my pain medication. So therealmofcaring.com is the website, or realmofcaring.com. If you're a dispensary, you should be donating trim or whatever, money. Work it out. Check them out. In Dispensary is another little branch of their enterprise, if you will. It's one of the few dispensaries I go to. They've usually got anywhere from 40 to 50 strains on the shelf, which is kind of nice. Variety's
That's
not
a lot
bad.
of choices.
That's pretty good. Dixie Elixir, of course. They do a monthly segment here. We love Trip. As crazy as those folks are out there at Dixie, they are doing amazing
And they're
things.
really knowledgeable.
Really?
They're good to talk to.
Really, really, or just really?
Really, really.
They are really, really.
They're educating everyone out there about CBDs.
I kind of hope Tamar comes back in next month because when their science team comes in, it just blows my mind.
Definitely. I think that it's something that everyone out there across the country and across the world needs to know about. They need to know that THC isn't the only component in cannabis that is medicinal.
Absolutely. So moving on, we love Dixie, but we must go.
Yes,
Dixie
Dixie.
X, check them out. You can get Dixie X across the globe right now. You can order it from their website, I believe DixieX.com.
CBD only products.
Absolutely. And independent records down in the Springs, and actually 7 locations along the Front Range. So I'm not even going to pretend like I know where all of them are, but you should find one. They've got everything from like cassette tapes to videos to anything you want.
Look them up.
Wall full of glass, you name it. It's beautiful. We Grow Colorado. Drew's a good friend of mine. He'll be hopefully coming back in a couple months to restart his segment. He took a little hiatus to do some, work. he travels a lot.
I think we're going to give him a call here.
We're going to call Jesse here in just a second. And real quick, Green Monster Glass out of the Springs. Check him out on Facebook and give Daryl a call. His number is in that commercial.
Green Monster Glass. I just like the way that sounds.
Right?
It's a good name.
Hey, Jesse, it's Stickman. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You're joined by myself and my co-host, Holly G. What's happening?
Hi, Jesse.
What's going on?
So I have a question really quick before we get going. Am I pronouncing your last name right when I say Vriese?
Vriese, just one syllable right out.
See, I screwed up right from the get-go.
Jesse Vriese.
No worries.
I got you, though, from here on out. Welcome to our show, Jesse. We're honored to have you on.
I'm honored to be here.
I was just kind of started to give you a little overview, and I'm, as I told you on the phone today when we talked, I again apologize that I don't know the details like I should of your whole scenario and case, but that's why we're here. You, in my opinion, like most people in El Paso County, were unfairly targeted by our wonderful district attorney and his cohorts, if you will. What I want to do, Jesse, is really just let you kind of jump in like we did today on the phone and start from the beginning. You were working at a dispensary, right?
Tell us your story.
I had worked at lots of dispensaries, and these people in particular, my wife got a job there, and I kind of walked them through the legal aspect of what they were doing. There were a couple of Chinese guys, and they didn't really speak English very well, so it was difficult for them to understand the law and the legalese of it. So I was just kind of walking them through, and through walking them through, they realized they were going to need somebody to kind of help them out. So that's what I did. I basically jumped in to try to help him out and run the store for him while he ran the grow operation. The grow operation was a couple miles away, and I ran the store for him and tried to make sure that he knew, what he had to do. That was basically, and that happened for about 6 months. That was basically the long and short of us working there. I left because I went on to bigger and better things, and quite frankly, I saw he wasn't super serious about finishing the job he started. We got him up past his inspections and to his OPC, and he wasn't incredibly interested in finishing his OPC. So we left while everyone was still happy. But about a month later, I got a call from the store's new secretary, and she told me I had a warrant out for my arrest. And that was surprising to me because I had no idea what was going on. But my name was on a lot of their paperwork. I had done a lot of their when they had to turn in for September and for July, I did a lot of the paperwork and stuff because I could write good English and I could write. I could do all that because I was a key badged employee for the company. Anyway, long story short, I guess they had an inspection after I had left, and they were over a bunch of plants, like a crap load of plants. And because of that, they had to put a warrant out for the two owners. So it was the owner and his brother and myself, which was surprising to me, like I said, because I didn't actually work there at the time. Anyway, I went to court, and the first plea deal I got at court with public defender was 4 years in jail and 2 felonies, and basically my life in cannabis was over, and they were going to take, make sure I never had a key badge or a red card again. It's pretty serious. And over the course of the court trial, which took about 6 months, several things came up where, I wasn't responsible for the grow. I didn't have keys. I didn't have the alarm code. Eric was obviously responsible for the grow. He stated himself, I was at the store the entire time. Several things that were very good clues to the prosecution about why I wasn't necessarily responsible for these plants and how I was just an employee of the store. And the same deal that they gave me at the beginning was the same deal they continued to give me. It was, 4 years, 2 felonies, 1 felony, 4 years in jail. they just didn't give me anything better. And it really kind of irritated both myself and my public defender that there was all this evidence. And, it wasn't direct Dan May. Dan May was not my prosecutor, but it was Dan May's office, and it was the girl, it was the assistant DA. She was very in contact with, what was going on. And it was very disappointing to me that even with this plethora of evidence that I was not involved in whatever was going on.
Do you remember her name by chance?
I don't.
I was just wondering if she was, probably not, because it was in June at the same time. I wondered if she was one of the ones involved in Bob's case.
I was actually on the same docket as Bob and Elisa Kappelman, so it would probably be the same DA as both of them. And actually, my wife is looking it up right now, if you give me a second.
Well, I'm going to digress real quick. We can absolutely jump back in, but I want to pull you back for a second. A lot of, what we cover, I always like to approach as a layman, because a lot of our listeners are throughout the world being internet. Exactly. Explain to us, because you touched on it. You were an employee. You were brought in to be a consultant. Explain why that's such a necessity here in Colorado. I mean, I know and you know, but tell people, why is there a need for that?
Well, there is seriously a book, and it's a book probably 400 pages thick if you really want to get into the details of the law, about specs and regulations that you have to follow in order to be a legal licensed medical marijuana store. And that's because 1284 and our wonderful Senate and Congress, that state Congress, has put these bills into place to try to sort of not only protect Colorado and kind of protect the state legislature, but they're trying to regulate the industry. Oh, so I guess my DA's the district attorney's last name was Crouse. Anyway, these rules are in place, but it makes a huge framework that you have to follow to the letter, or any number of things will slip you up. The rules for violations are basically, if you violate anything once, that's a single violation. If you violate that same violation again, it's called a double violation, and it counts for a third violation, which basically gets you sent to court. So it's extremely touchy, and you have to make sure you get it right the first time. You have to make sure you're following all the rules the first time. They don't really give you a whole lot of second chances.
Play the game, play the system.
Well, there are no second chances, and to follow that up, you mentioned it. Once you're convicted in Colorado of a felony, your livelihood, if you're in the cannabis industry, you're done.
That's correct, yes. Yeah. And you're very, once you have a felony, that's it. You can't get, licensed again. And they're very willing to even negotiate for your red card as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we see, I have my own theories, but a lot, not a lot, but a few of my activist friends have definitely had issues getting red cards of late. And it makes me wonder, how far they reach out. We're going to hear in just a couple minutes, Jesse, if you'll stick around, we're going to pay some bills. And then what I want to do when we come back is just kind of continue on. I want to ask you, in the raid process, when they came in, I'm going to pull you back again. Explain that to us. How were you, if you will, for lack of a better term, apprehended by our wonderful enforcement?
Actually, I turned myself in. The call that I had a warrant out for my arrest sort of shocked me, and I went and turned myself in, and my wife bailed me out the same day. So it was very, very inconsequential and very uneventful in that. But I have been through several inspections, and actually several inspections that I've been through were less than friendly. They're not exactly friendly when they come in, and they're looking for, low-hanging fruit. They're looking for stuff to slip you up with.
Well, and that's... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that's why I ask, that's why I'm highlighting you. That's why we continue to talk about Bob. I mentioned he's been on more than anybody by far. El Paso County, the climate in the DA's office and VNI and our CSPD, our police department, is really absurd. And the reason we're going to continue to call these folks out is it's got to change. I mean, your story, which we haven't even finished, is a perfect example. So stick around with us, Jesse, if you will. We're going to pay some bills here real quick. Our sponsors like when we do that.
Time for a break.
And then we'll jump back in with you. We'll be right back
All right,
on
sounds good.
Overgrow the Radio.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
The law offices of Edson Maton and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back on.
Interested in the amazing benefits of CBD? Check out Dixie X Hemp CBD Wellness Products at www.dixiex.com. Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infused sparkling beverages, Dixie Edibles, dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals, all-natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
We're back here on Overgrow the Radio, live on iCannabisradio.com.
We are, really?
We are.
Oh, God. That means we got to make radio again.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We actually have Jesse Vriese, a medical patient out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, on the air. Here we have him on the phone. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing good. And we were just getting a little background on Jesse and what he's gone through, a little bit of history. So let's get back into that. Find out a little bit more and see what questions come up.
Yeah, what we're doing tonight, Jesse, I think I mentioned on the phone, we're picking on Dan May, and we're going to continue to pick on El Paso County. It's not just him in particular, it's the policy. He just happens to be the face of that policy, so he gets to be the figurative punching bag, if you will. So we...
Hey, man, if you want to talk about low-hanging fruit, let's talk about Dan May's job. I mean, come on.
Oh, you know, honestly, on a side note, if we could just find anyone with a little common sense to run against him, he'd be gone. He ran unopposed.
I absolutely agree. That's probably the easiest job to get right now, I would say.
So we've tried to get our first guest. You know, I sit on the board down there with him. We're still working on him. I think Cliff Black should be the new DA of District 4. That'd be great. The 4th awesome. Judicial District. So, Jesse, what we want to do is kind of, again, a little bit digress and talk about, you know, as with Bob's trial, Elisa was lucky enough. She's a business owner, so she hired Rob Corey. Like you mentioned earlier, you know, you were offered plea after plea deal, and that's what they want to do. They want you to take that plea deal because then they've got their conviction. They win. Everybody walks away. You did something very brave, and that's, you know, I've been calling your case in the last few days kind of the forgotten case in June because, you know, you weren't in the media and you weren't really outspoken until really after your trial. So I kind of want to go back and talk about your trial and the proceedings and how that played out for you, you know, kind of get into more detail. You chose a public defender, which, that's where I'm saying that's a brave thing, because a lot of times they're going to push you towards that plea so they can move on to their next overworked caseload case, So tell us about that. What made you take that stand?
Oh, no, it's very true. Well, I'm broke. And
Sure.
I chose a public defender because, quite honestly, that's what you have to do in the system, because you can't stand up by yourself. You have to have a lawyer. So when you don't have a lawyer, you get a public defender. And they work their asses off to help you out. And you have to educate your public defender a little bit, and you have to kind of get them involved in talking to the right people. I actually had Clifton's assistance with my trial. He did talk to my public defender, and so did a couple of activists here in the Springs, Mark Slaw. I had tried to call him. I had several grow consultants call her just to give her advice about, what exactly was going on, because there was some confusion about, the actual taking care of plants. And, is me trimming, a little stuff off at the store, taking care of plants, and it's just, silly stuff that if you knew what was going on, you would be obvious to you that this is a silly question, but it's honest questions that people ask in trials when they're trying to stick anything to you.
Sure.
And it happened.
Well, and what exactly, I don't know if you mentioned it, and if you did, I'm sorry, I missed it. What exactly were they charging you with?
What I actually got charged with, and their entire case basically said I had shown up in Colorado Springs with a couple of friends, and I had set up a grow room in downtown Colorado Springs, and I had proceeded to grow about 3,000 plants for no reason other than to grow them and sell them. And the prosecution didn't say anything about me working at a dispensary. They didn't say anything about me legally growing them. They didn't even say anything about me trying to legally grow them. My public defender actually brought all that up and had to go through, basically what actually happened. Their whole case was, hey, it's marijuana, and it was a bunch of plants, and it was in Colorado Springs. And it was
they just let you hear what they want you to hear.
Yeah, and it was
Right.
kind of funny that up until the trial, there was this huge, we're going to get you, we've got all this evidence, we've got this and this and this against you. And then when I went to trial, it was nothing. They didn't have a thing. It was surprising.
Well, we'll talk about that. My question prior to trial real quick is, you said you turned yourself in. Were you interviewed? Did they ever try to have like a conversation with you about it? Or, me personally, in a lot of situations, I would be like, yeah, I want my attorney. I'm not talking to you. Honestly, in your situation, I would be tempted to be like, dude, I was an employee following state law, Did they ever try to have that conversation?
Man, I tell you what, if they would have, I would have had no problem talking to them and telling them anything they needed to know. But no, nobody ever interviewed me. Nobody ever came and talked to me. Nobody ever called me on the phone. Nobody tried talking to me in court. Nobody talked to me at jail. They had ample opportunity to get any sort of a statement out of me, and they didn't. There was no effort at all to get my side of the story on the prosecution.
So here we have a county, our wonderful county. And I made the comment earlier, here lately I've been thinking of relocating to Denver, and if I do, man, I'm going to have to keep a second home in the Springs because there's so much work to do there. I just have to pause here to call out some idiocy. Here we have a county that can't afford, mind you, to patrol all of our streets with our police. We can't keep all of our street lights on, which has caused more than one fatal accident I know of on our interstates and our roads. Yet, and rather than coming to you and actually conducting police work and doing the interview, they just threw the book at you and we'll see you in court. To me, that's absurd. In a time when here we are, we can't do the basic things to function as a city. We're wasting, $1 million to prosecute you.
A good million at least.
That had to have just been a very surreal feeling for you.
It was really insane. It made me feel like, like I had really done something wrong or something, or like they wouldn't be coming after me. But, quite honestly, we got, I stood my ground. I held my guns. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. Went to court, and it was very obvious. It was a very short court trial. I think the jury was out for all of 3 hours. I think most of that was ordering lunch. You know, it was really nothing to decide.
Well,
Yeah.
we touched on that earlier with Bob too. It shows to me. I've spent, I guess, 3 years now in El Paso County as a resident, and it shows the changing tide. It's, you know, when you can sit a jury in El Paso County that's not all right-wing Republicans, you're doing something in the first place, and some of them are okay, not all are bad. But the fact that it only took 4 hours for his trial, it only took 5 for Elisa's, 5 or 6. So I think we as citizens and as jurors have sent that point to Dan May. You know, what more do we need to do?
I would like to know, quite honestly, and I would like to, as a person who's gone through this process, it would be nice to me if they were a little more transparent and even talked. I mean, it seemed to me like they weren't even talking about public defender. If they would have said, hey, give us a paycheck stub that shows it's your last day at work, or hey, do this, and where were you working at the time, or what's going on, anything that they could have, they could have been a little more vocal and talked to me and tried to get, information that I had available. And
they don't want it.
Of them wanting it, really.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, my old co-host was Elisa, and through her trial, that was pointed out by Rob Corey multiple times that, they presented the paperwork. Actually, Cliff Black was her first attorney. He presented the paperwork to prove her legitimacy, and they ignored it. They would not see it. I think these are the type of things that we have to call out. As always, though, we're like way sidetracked because that's what we do.
It goes back to education and, those politicians taking responsibility.
Yes, that's the key word, responsibility.
Like Bob Crouse was saying earlier, just, them coming out and admitting what they did wrong.
So, Jesse, we're going to rant here for 5 more minutes and take one more break before we finish our time with you. Let's go back, though, to the trial because I want to talk about your ordeal and what transpired because I want to understand these different situations. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to sit in your trial. I didn't know about your trial until afterwards. The prosecution, when they came out in their opening arguments, and if you don't remember details, that's fine, whatever you remember. I may have been glazed over myself if it were me. What did they argue? I mean, you said earlier on the phone that they didn't really have an argument, and you repeated that again. What did they bring up as their points?
Basically, the argument that they came up with was, first of all, they proved that it was indeed marijuana at the place that was growing marijuana, which was, they had like 2 or 3 witnesses for that. And then basically she proceeded to say, well, if he was the store manager and he was like the third in charge according to, the hierarchy of the store, what third in charge do you know that doesn't know what's going on at the other place? And that was basically the basis for her whole argument, was, well, how could he not know what's going on? Of course he knew what was going on. And it was sort of, just one of those, well, if he's here, then he has to be, it was very disjointed. When the actual inspector that got on stage in the box, when he got in the box and actually talked, Inspector Bain,
oh, God.
when he talked, and he was very, he didn't really know why I was there. At the end of it, he even told her, I didn't expect it to be brought to court. It was sort of it was kind of laughable to me because, like I said, I've been offered 4 years in jail. I thought for sure they had some sort of, ironclad video of somehow me taking marijuana and handing it to 5th graders. I don't understand what they would have had on me, but it was ridiculous to me because once we actually got in there and got it going, they didn't have anything, and it was obvious they didn't have anything. It was obvious they were just trying to showboat this thing for the jurors, and the jurors knew what was going on. They kind of got it, and it really sort of fell apart on, in their hands in court. If I could say one thing to a person who's going through a medical marijuana thing today or a marijuana thing today, I would say fight. I would say don't take the deal. I would say even if you have a public defender, stand up in court,
it's going to be worth it because you're going to be able to find people that are on your side, and you're going to be able to tell your story in court, and they're not going to have as much as they say they have because it's never, it's not true.
Well, I think that shows. Sorry, I think I cut my co-host off. I think that shows lack of education. Like you just talked about how it is separate from a grow. A lot of times employees at a grow have no idea what goes on at the store and vice versa. Actually, most of the owners I know, that's the way that operates, There are very few who have their grow on premises as far as I'm concerned or what I've seen. What we're going to do, brother, is pay more bills one more time. And when we come back, I want to spend our last bit of time with you. We'll finish up, and then I kind of want to shift gears. I got a couple questions for you. So if you'll be patient with us for a couple more minutes, we'll be right back. Everyone stay tuned, and thank you for listening to iCannabisRadio.com. Peace.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6901 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back
Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the nation's premier infused product manufacturers, brings you the newest in hemp CBD wellness products, Dixie X. Derived from CBD for medicinal hemp, this non-psychoactive cannabinoid provides the medicinal effects of cannabis, but without the high. Join the Dixie X revolution today at www.dixiex.com or like us on Facebook, Dixie X or Dixie Elixirs.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last.
We're back here on Overgrow the Radio on iCannabisRadio.com. Here with Stickman, I'm Holly G. And we have Sam here mixing the music. Some nice grooves in the background. And we have Jesse Vriese here on the phone. He had told us a little bit about his case in Colorado Springs in El Paso County. And I know that Stickman has a few more questions, and we can learn a little bit more about what you have going on.
Hey, brother. Hey, I said we were going to shift gears a little bit. And to premise this, we've beat a dead horse and talked about 64 at this point so much, I hate to even say the word anymore. But... Ooh. I got to give you props because, as we talked on Facebook, I had been meaning to have you on the show for quite a while, and we never got in touch. But then you appeared one day out of the blue as kind of a savior, if you will, in some thread, like where I was being called a snitch and a fed and ridiculousness. So first off, thank you for that help.
No problem.
That was huge. As a proponent, I felt it my duty to try to correct any mistruths or just misconceptions that I saw, whether it was purposeful or not. That's just what you do when you're an activist. So I have, there are two more quick little topics I want to talk about real quick. The first being, obviously, you got acquitted, you're back to work, your life is good, and that's awesome.
Yep. And if I may, I'd like to give a little shout-out to Dawn Williams. She was my public defender. I would like to say the public defenders are probably the hardest-working lawyers in the industry, and much love to all of them.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure, if you will, of watching Mr. Crouse's perform, and both young, but both very, very talented. Clinton, just like yours, I know they went out before the trial and during the trial and educated themselves. This was brand new to them. So it's definitely a learning process, and I, too, appreciate all the work that they do. Absolutely. So, my question, you seem like a quiet guy. I've met you once or twice, I believe, maybe once only in person. And, a lot of us aren't outgoing activists, and this is a question I also asked Bob tonight. Was your ordeal, did it bring you more into activism and more into the light than what you were prior?
Yes, definitely. I think, not just that ordeal, but ordeals I've had in the past with police. It's, it opens your eyes a little bit to what actually happens when something, some of these laws get enacted and people start to, try to enforce them. And, I'm not here to bash police. I'm not here to say that all police are bad, but, sometimes there are officers, and there are especially, people in higher in authority that take things to the extreme, and they don't need to do that, and it's not necessary, and it gets people mad, and it angers regular citizens and makes them a little more adamant about, making sure this doesn't happen to somebody else.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, and, I look forward to standing side by side many times until we're done with these battles we have down there. The last thing, as I mentioned 64, you and I kind of stood side by side in some verbal arguments with folks. How do you feel, as someone who's been through the mill, if you will, and had the charges brought against them, how do you feel about 64? Do you think it helps you now?
I think that it's a very good step in the right direction. I think that dropping the penalty for an ounce for people over 21 is a really good idea. I think that it's going to lead to more openness and understanding about cannabis, and I think it's definitely, a positive step. Is it perfect? No. But it's a positive step, and it's going to be something that not only helps me as a cannabis user, but helps other people who are curious about cannabis sort of break that stigma that it's just bad. Now they can say, well, what's going on in Colorado? What's going on in Washington? What's going on in all these other states that have legalized, medical marijuana? And they can get beyond the, drugs are bad, okay?
All right. The stigma.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, honestly, we're already seeing that, not just here in our state, but around the world. I guess I just want to follow up, and then we're kind of going to wrap it up with you, I think. Do you see, and this is your opinion, in our wonderful El Paso County, do you see anytime soon them changing any stances, like, say, Stan Garnett up here in Boulder?
Yes, I do. I see things improving. I see things getting better. Because what's going to happen is we're going to have more people in this state that are positive about marijuana because of what we've done. We're going to have people that believe in it as medicine, traveling here. We're going to have, what happened in places that had real medical treatments is people would go there and do it for, medical treatment. It is something that I really believe in, and I think is going to grow. And I think as we see it grow, and other states see Colorado actually sort of carrying this flag, and Washington sort of carrying the torch, as they're going to have to join in, or they're going to be left, in the days of prohibition. And it's just the end of prohibition, sir.
It is. Well, Jesse, thanks for giving us your time this evening and sharing your story with all of our viewers, listeners, whatever you want to call them.
Yes, thank you.
Our lovely people. We'll talk to you again soon, and hopefully we won't need to be protesting any trials in the near future, but if we do, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
Before we get out of here, do you want to plug your place of business that you're employed at?
Sure. I work at Discreet Treats downtown. We also have a place on 288 South Academy and 101 North Tejon. And they do amazing business. And if you've never checked out Discreet Treats, you should check it out.
And that's in Colorado Springs.
Up in Colorado Springs, yes, ma'am.
Yummy
downtown
stuff.
Colorado Springs.
Yeah, I got to get in, and I've actually, and I hate to say this on live radio, but I've never tried your flowers, so I'll be in to visit soon.
You should check us out, man.
Field trip.
Absolutely. Field trip. Overgrow the Radio field trip.
Thanks, Jesse.
Have a good night, my friend.
Absolutely. Holly, you're always welcome as well.
Thanks.
She's welcome everywhere because she's a pretty girl and she can smile and it just works.
And I love cannabis.
All right, so I guess we're going to finish up real quick. We've got about 5 minutes here. We're going to just rant a little bit more about news because we never finish our news.
Yes,
and we stay
news
so
is interesting.
local. It is. So there is a story here. I like to pull the corrupt cop stories. Those are fun. Just to prove that we're not the only place that has crazy politicians and police. It looks like Lafayette County, Mississippi, Oxford, Mississippi, of all places. I like to point these people out. It was like a chief of Metro Narcotics Unit, the head, or former head, I'm sorry, was convicted of prescription shopping, nonetheless.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. 17 doctors. I mean, I'm going to guess, I've never heard of Oxford, Mississippi. So I'm going to guess it's a pretty small town. Is that fair?
Probably.
How does someone go to 17 doctors in a rural area without that catching up a little sooner?
Right. They just don't have a good system.
Well, there's a handful of states still that don't track that. They don't have the online database where they can go from pharmacy to pharmacy.
Right.
That's got to be the only way. I mean, it's a sign of the trend, though. I got into a debate with, I have one of my law enforcement cousins who isn't really as agreeable as some of the others. I get in these debates and I constantly am pointing out that, the problem is prescription drugs. The problem is alcohol. The problem is tobacco.
Right.
Let's go after things, the numbers are there.
Just because a doctor prescribes it doesn't make it not a drug.
No, absolutely. Absolutely
not. It still could be bad for you and might not be right for you. So
let's be happy news.
Yes.
You want to be happy news? Okay.
That would be awesome. It's a good way to, finish the show is with, some happy news and a little bit of banter.
Absolutely. Banter's always good. And Arizona, congratulations. Organics is now your first dispensary. The doors are not open yet, but you have a dispensary.
Yay, Arizona!
There are a lot of states like New Jersey comes to mind where they've had it legal. Well, the bill has been in effect now, I believe, for 2 years, and they don't have a dispensary yet.
Right. It's still kind of looked down upon. Even though there's medical marijuana laws there.
Well, and they actually, Arizona kind of did the same thing. I mean, that's why this is a big deal, is because, it's been a year. Did they pass last year or 2 years ago?
I think it's been a couple of years.
Yeah. So here we are again. These folks, they pass these laws, they get it done, and the government drags their feet so these patients don't have access to medicine.
Right, and hopefully now that we've legalized, people are going to start getting medical in their states or maybe taking it all the way legal. And it's good to hear that Arizona is following in the footsteps of some of the other medical states.
Absolutely.
Patients got to get their medicine somewhere. Not everyone can grow or has the ability or space to do it. Absolutely.
Well, we'll just end with New Jersey, and hopefully they follow this through. They're saying now that they're going to tax cannabis to make money off their medicinal cannabis. The problem with that is they don't have dispensaries. So, New Jersey, you're putting the cart before the horse. You have to actually allow the stores to be able to make money off of them.
Right.
But at least it's more forward progress in New Jersey. And, well, New Jersey's New Jersey.
I have lots of family there, so
it's a great place.
Awesome.
It's a great place. So I think we're going to get out of here. You want to get out of here?
I think it's a good time to call it a night.
We can do that.
Time
I
to
got to drive.
medicate.
You got to drive. Always. So until next time, I think tonight's show, we highlighted some cases in my county. I was a little stingy there. We all have issues, no matter where you're at on our little wonderful rock we call Earth. There's always a fight, whether it's cannabis, whether it's civil rights, whatever the case may be. The message here is if Bob Crouse, a 64-year-old cancer patient, can be out there and be this passionate and get shit done, so can the rest of us. So until next time, let's go get stuff done. I won't say shit again. We love you. Peace.
Peace.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back
The
on.
law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. runongrass.com.